What's up, everyone? My name is Alex, and I use he, him, his pronouns or am, heirs pronouns, and I wanted to do a video on presentation and transitioning. So obviously I'm doing this small series where I want to talk about really basic identity related topics in the scope of malehood. And I mean, man is an umbrella term like that. When you say man, it encompasses so many different aspects of identity that, like, you might as well consider it an umbrella term because there's so many different identities that fall under that. There's so many different, I talked about how you can be an agender man, you can be a gender fluid man, bigender man, me, hello, newly discovered. Spoiler alert for the next identity talk video, I discovered that I was bigender. But, there's so many different ways to be a man. So I figured, I guess doing this series would help other people figure out what malehood means to them. It's also kind of helping me a little bit. It's helping me out to be able to, kind of talk through this and go over the basics and additional information that's not so well-known information, not the not basics, more advanced stuff, I guess. So when it comes to being male, being a man, some people were assigned male at birth, and that's what they identify with, and that is how they are raised. That's the environment that they're raised in. That's the expectation. And that would be, largely, that would be a cisgender man. Some people will be assigned a different gender at birth and realize later in life that it turns out they were actually a man, and from there they may choose to transition either socially, physically, or both. Some people don't undergo any kind of transitioning. It completely depends on the individual. There's so many different ways that you can present and express the gender known as male. So that's what I wanted to go over today. So I mentioned social transitioning. That is pretty much the non-physical aspects of transitioning. So someone might want to go by a specific name. Some might want to go by a specific set of pronouns. The most common pronouns for men is usually he, him, his, but it, like I said, depends on just that person's gendered experience and how they want to express that experience. Pronouns are part of not only social transitioning, but part of gender presentation. So some people want to be gender nonconforming, as in pronoun nonconforming, and some people would prefer to have pronouns that feel like they match their gender. So he, him, his is common, but it's not required. I think in passing fully as male, that is the preference for a lot of men. But it can be a completely different set. It can be a completely non-conforming set or non-gendered set. That's just up to the individual. So some people might go with something that is, I guess, analogous to, similar to he, him, his. Some people might go with hey, hem, hairs. That is kind of a mix between he and they. Some people might go with they, vim, viz, like a rhyming kind of thing. Some people might go with he, here, which is just kind of a mix between the he, him pronouns and she, here. Really just depends on how people wish to use the pronouns, because I know some people consider themselves almost men or partially men, and they might go with something that is reminiscent of he, him pronouns, but just a little different. So that's also an option. And of course, men can also go by she, her, or they, them, or its is another common but not widely accepted set of pronouns. They just, I go by am, heirs. It's neutral, and it's it is similar to they, them. Like that's a thing that I kind of struggle with a little bit because I don't like they, them pronouns. For myself, I mean, they do make me dysphoric. So, AM airs is a little bit weird because they're kind of soft and they are neutral. I mean, it's they, them without the TH. And more than once, I've considered a respelling of them or doing something differently with those pronouns, but those are my secondary pronoun set. But auxiliary pronouns, he, him, like always, like no matter what, you can assume he, him is like okay for me. That's like the go-to if you don't know what to use. That is totally fine. And obviously, some men have more than one set of pronouns. You can also go with no pronouns, but that's a different kind of story entirely. That's a different video. Names, people will, go by a name that either does or doesn't reflect their gender. It's just like pronouns. Pronouns are just a replacement for someone's name in the third person. So, the names work literally like pronouns do, and that's functionally what they're supposed to be. But, some people go with a masculine name, some people more neutral, or a feminine name if they feel that they want to go by a gender non-conforming name. That's up to the individual. Some people are given a name and that they feel like that name matches their identity and matches their gender. Gender terminology, people go by man, guy, dude, bro, like really masculine, male-related terminology, sir, mister. Some people might not want to go by that. Some people might use gender-neutral honorifics. There's plenty of gendered terminology that isn't exactly like male. Some people may forego gender terminology. You just call them a person, call them, I don't know. Person is the only thing I can really think of. And then there's like gender neutral, like honorifics, mix, as in like MX, is one of them. You could call someone Misser, which is just a mix between Mr. and Miss. Some people go with ind, which is short for individual, per, which is short for person. There's a lot of different types of, I guess, honorifics and other like ways to address somebody. Some people choose not to be addressed in such a formal way. It just depends on someone's comfort level, and a lot of people don't really think of that. A lot of people don't think of how they want to be referred to, like a ladies and gentlemen kind of thing, or sir, or mister. Like, people don't normally think of that, but it's also another option for socially transitioning. Obviously, I'm going to be at least vaguely mentioning physical transitioning, so if that makes you uncomfortable, just skip ahead or don't watch the video, I guess. I don't want that to sound rude, but if it makes you uncomfortable, then I definitely have like other types of videos that you could watch on Malehood, and it skips the talking about physically transitioning. So just letting you know, nothing vulgar, nothing too in detail, but I will be mentioning physical transitioning. The most common is HRT. That's hormone replacement therapy. Some men will choose to go on testosterone in order to have the physical appearance of a man, and in order to pass as a man. It'll lead to vocal changes and body hair growth and redistribution of fat. It causes muscle growth and bone density, so there's some weight gain, and just overall just changing the physical shape of the body and how the body functions on a hormonal level. Some men will undergo surgery in order to change their bodies to match their gender. We talk about top surgery, bottom surgery. It's pretty much what it sounds like, reconfiguring genitals to match a specific gender, or removal of tissue from the chest to have a flatter appearing chest. Those are also options, and some people will mix and match. Some people will only get top surgery and nothing else. That, to be totally honest, is my overall goal, is only top surgery and getting back on HRT. I'll cover that in another video, why I am off testosterone, but I was on testosterone for 5 years, or almost 5 years, and I do plan on getting top surgery, but not bottom surgery. Some people undergo all of it, everything. Some people get surgery without going on testosterone. Some people will only go on testosterone and get no surgeries. It depends on how you view your body and what makes you dysphoric enough to want to change that aspect. So I think there's an assumption that the transgender man experience, the transgender male experience is, dysphoria, the need to change your name to something masculine, your presentation to something masculine, including he, him pronouns, the need to get on testosterone and then undergo surgery. But that's not always the case for everyone. It's a misconception, but I don't think it's as common a misconception anymore. I think largely we're starting to accept that some men choose a different path in transitioning and presenting as their gender. So it's, again, all based on preference and what makes you feel euphoric, which is the opposite of dysphoria. Dysphoria is a discomfort with something physical about yourself. Actually, it might not even be just physical, but a discomfort with something about yourself that, I guess, impedes your ability to function, your ability to focus. It affects your mental health and can cause depression or anxiety. And euphoria is the opposite, something that appeals to your gender experience that makes you feel good. So if somebody uses she, her pronouns for someone and that makes you feel really good, that's gender euphoria. Or calling someone sir or ma'am, or using completely neutral terminology might make someone feel euphoric. Whereas if someone used they, them, or she, her for me, that would make me dysphoric. So it depends. Dysphoria and euphoria there's so many different aspects to those experiences, but usually transitioning is to alleviate dysphoria and to appeal to euphoria. That's typically what transitioning is for. So if I want to talk about just kind of pulling it back and connecting this with my own personal experiences, I talked about being on testosterone for almost 5 years. No surgeries at all. I had stopped testosterone a year ago. Not really my own decision. It was just money and also mental health got in the way, and I had stopped taking testosterone. And it's been a year. It definitely messes with the body a little bit when you are on hormones and then suddenly off them. It's pretty much the same thing as if you were to go on hormones all of a sudden. There's a stretch of time where there's an imbalance and it does not feel good. But that's my experience with the physical aspects. I did not have any surgeries and I was on testosterone for almost 5 years. I use masculine terms or male related terms. So man, boy, dude, bro, sir, Mr., guy, all of the standard. I know that I don't identify fully as male, but that it's the baseline for me, is probably the safest way to put that. It's safe to assume that I am a man and to use male gendered terminology. I use he, him, his. I talked about that in the beginning. And AM airs, which is a non-conforming set, I guess. I don't know if it's non-conforming. It's kind of neutral, and I consider myself in part gender neutral in some way, so I don't know if it's gender non-conforming to have that set of pronouns, but it's my secondary set that a lot of people online use for me. Somewhat masculine leaning presentation. It totally depends. If you noticed, I have the after effects after, I don't know, you can tell that I was wearing eyeliner yesterday. I could not get it off. I don't know anything about makeup. I couldn't get the eye makeup off, but I had makeup on yesterday, and you can still see it a little bit. So other than that, I have masculine to neutral leaning clothing nowadays. That's how I present. Kind of masculine mannerisms. It depends on the social circle that I'm in. That's part of social presentation. How I'm presenting in social circles, how I'm presenting outwardly to other people in a largely non-physical way. It depends. Like the facial hair, I was just going to mention that the facial hair and the way that I cut my actual like hair, those are physical, but mannerisms, like the ways of talking and pronouns I use, clothing that I wear, non-physical forms of presentation. I do have an occasional kind of feminine presentation, but that's more gender non-conformity, like just kind of something fun to play with, including the makeup and when I have it, my nail polish. I did not paint my nails today, but sometimes I paint my nails quite regularly, more often than I put makeup on my face. I was just experimenting with makeup in that way, but there's that aspect, and I'm growing my hair out, hoping to grow my hair out, so I guess it's kind of part of it too, having the long hair, a little bit gender non-conforming, but that's my personal experience with like my transition and my presentation, but for other people it could be different. Guess it just depends on what makes you feel comfortable and what your goals are, if you have any. Some people simply just change their name and pronouns. Some people will undergo everything, the hormones and surgery and all that. And some people will live completely stealth, like they won't talk about being trans. They, like, as long as they pass, they feel the need to not mention it. For me, I don't mention it in most circles, but I do just, I'm openly trans. I talk about it all the time. I think it's important not to assume that I'm cisgender, just because I have different experiences that people might often forget about if they didn't know that I was trans. So that's kind of it. I didn't really have any way to properly end this video. It's not really supposed to be a very long video anyway, but as of now, to be totally honest, I don't have any other episodes that need to go up, really, like for the Malehood 101. Like, I think that's kind of it. I wanted to do an episode on like attractional labels and like, I guess, male-related attractional labels. I might do a little bit more research into that one, but if I do upload another video, it's going to be that, and I'll talk about attraction and different ways that men might quantify or describe their attractions, because sometimes there are attractional labels that describe, gender-loving gender, specifically for men who love other men, or men who love other genders, or non-binary men who love other genders. There's a lot to it, and I want to do a little bit more research, but I may do an episode on that, so I guess look forward to that. Other than that, I hope this was helpful. I hope that I hope there was some kind of takeaway, because I didn't have much of a goal for this series. It's Malehood 101, but there are some uncommon and kind of complicated topics within this, so it's a little bit tough to call it Malehood 101 and make sure that I'm keeping it basic and keeping it easy to kind of share around for people who are questioning or people who just want more information. Like, I want it to be easily digestible, easily understandable. So, I mean, I'm getting good feedback on it, so that's good at least. And we'll have at least one more episode at some point. Anyway, that's all I got for you, so I am signing off for now. See you later.